Thanks to Creature Commandos, we have finally entered the James Gunn era of the DCU. It does feel a little bit odd that the first DCU project is an animated series because not everybody is into this kind of thing, but here we are. And while there has been a lot of initial confusion over how things would work between the DCEU and the DCU, this show sets the record straight almost right off the bat. Is Creature Commandos off to a good start? How are things looking for the DCU? Let's talk about it. Creature Commandos is literally just Suicide Squad with monsters, so this formula is going to feel pretty familiar to you guys. Which would make you think that this is going to feel like an unoriginal knockoff. However, thanks to these excellently written characters, this show feels very fresh. One thing that has been confirmed, which is what a lot of people were thinking was going to be the case, is that James Gunn's DCEU contributions are being treated as canon in this DCU. I do have some pretty strong opinions about this, but I'm not going to make a scene about it because I have noticed online that James Gunn has some pretty die-hard fans, not too different from the Zack Snyder fans, if you ask me. So with that being said, in the interest of not inciting a mob, I'm gonna keep quiet. So yes, you do need to have seen The Suicide Squad, the one that James Gunn directed, in order to be fully caught up with where this show is starting. One of the best things about keeping those DCEU aspects in this new DCU is that we get to continue having Viola Davis as Amanda Waller because this woman was born to play this role. She continues to play her as a very cold, stern woman that has no concept of empathy whatsoever, which is why she's the perfect person to be leading a task force of expendable people that nobody's really meant to care about. That's perfect because she doesn't seem to care. I am enjoying the voice actors in this series. Frank Grillo is doing a solid job as Rick Flag Sr. Alan Tudyk is honestly never bad. And my favorite character so far is Indira Varma as the Bride of Frankenstein. I don't know how many names I butchered there, but I bet you it was more than one. But what makes the Bride of Frankenstein character so intriguing to me is that she never chose to be brought back to life. She was just a dead corpse that somebody put back together, and the purpose of that was so that she could be a wife to Frankenstein. What a meaningless existence that would feel like, to be created, to find out that you were literally just born so that you could marry this guy. It's kind of like an arranged marriage, only with a supernatural twist. I think this is going to be one of the stronger storylines, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her story play out. And I'm quite curious if we're going to be seeing some of these characters in the live-action DCU because it would be a damn shame not to. We have a really fun cast here. We've got Rick Flag Sr., Bride of Frankenstein, Dr. Phosphorus, Weasel, G.I. Robot, and Nina Azursky, who reminds me basically of a female version of Abe Sapien. And don't pretend you don't know who Abe Sapien is. If you don't know who Abe Sapien is, I'm gonna be disappointed. It's this person. Come on now, the blue dude from Hellboy. I think it would be a damn shame if these characters don't make the jump into the live-action DCU, but it does bring some interesting dilemmas because David Harbour is in this series playing Frankenstein, and he's also in the MCU playing Red Guardian. So would that mean he's going to be existing in MCU and the DCU? How are those two companies going to feel about that? Are they going to allow that to happen? Interesting questions. I have no doubt that this show is going to continue to maintain its quality. James Gunn may have a very big complex of himself, but he is actually a very talented writer and a very talented director. He excels at exploring the idea of troubled characters and fleshing them out in a way that makes them feel meaningful. Not to mention, he has a talent for taking obscure, not as popular characters and making them extremely popular. Who would have thought that a talking raccoon would become such a hit? So my early opinions of this show, because there has only been a couple episodes, is that yes, this is another solid entry from James Gunn and an overall positive start to the DCU. I'm excited to see that they're already mentioning places like Themyscira, and when you look at the upcoming slate of movies and shows, not to mention the cast of Superman Legacy, It's clear that we're not going to be dragging things out in the DCU. We're going to be joining a DCU that already has these characters fully established for the most part. So we're not going to be sitting through a bunch of boring origin stories, or at least not as many as the MCU had, which I'm not saying origin stories are necessarily bad. It's just that some of these characters, we know their origin. We don't need to see it again. And so I am hopeful that the way it looks is how it's actually going to be. We're going to be catching up to characters that are already established. So if you are a big fan of comic book movies or any of these comic book adaptations, and you are super devoted to being on top of what is going on in these interconnected universes, well, then you need to watch this show, because otherwise you're not going to understand the true beginning of the DCU. This is the official start. Superman Legacy comes out next year, and that's going to be the second, but you're already going to have been introduced in this show. So if you want to be one of those hardcore people like the MCU people that are constantly feeling like an interconnected plot line, then watch this show. Also, it's not a bad watch, so it's not like it's exactly twisting your arm. That's my thoughts on this show. What do you guys think of it so far? Put your thoughts in the comments and let me know. Did you like this video? If you did, please hit the little like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, then subscribe to this channel. Later.